This is where the scene begins right here.
All right. Oh, was this the cut? This is the end credit scene that I
Yeah.
would have gotten? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's 6. Hold up. Hold up.
Oh.
Let me turn up the fucking quality of this video. Holy shit. It's like
Oh
fucking
my god.
480. Wait. You can do it in 4K apparently.
Just put on 1080. Yeah. All right,
Shut
restart.
up.
Restart.
Okay. Basically, this is like the end, like when she leaves you.
Yeah, where cause she went through the TV. Oh shit.
Bunch of theories about this screen. What does that look like, Nathan? What's this? There's that paper on the ground
Oh shit, it's the
that Shadow 6 is
maw.
looking at. She's staring at it like, hey, maybe you should go there.
Oh, she's hungry.
And this is where the hunger begins.
Wait, look at that. Look at the shadow. That looks. What the? Wait, go back.
It looks kind of like a gnome, right?
No, go back. Look at the shadow.
It kind of looks like a gnome. Watch, when she stands up, it looks like a gnome. Look, it becomes like it looks like a gnome.
No, watch when she puts her hands out. Look at it. It looks like there's like arms out and it looks like a head with a hat.
Oh, I kind of see it.
Yeah, see the legs too? It kind of looks like the tall man. What the fuck?
Okay, now let's go to the
Alright.
next video.
So that's the end credit scene. I mean, yeah. So if you collect all the fucking glitched or shadow
children, you get all the fucking shadow children.
Yeah.
From the shadow world.
Okay.
You get that. And also, it kind of like why they're shadows, like why those ghosters. Basically, I think the tall man's been capturing children.
That's what I thought. That's what I said. I said when he came out through the TV, I was like, okay, so I'm thinking that like a lot of them were about to kill themselves, and he captured them, and that's where they were before he captured them. Like,
Yeah,
or right
because
as he captured them.
you see 6 like that all
Yep.
over the place.
Yeah.
Also, you know that scene where she gets the food and she's really hungry in the first one?
Yeah.
There's that same shadow in the corner when she's eating the meat.
Really?
And she shows up actually through the entire game when she gets hungry. I just never noticed it.
Neither did I.
You didn't either.
Are they gonna wait? Do they show that?
That glitch self is there. Yeah, it shows it in this video.
Oh shit!
And I was like, what? Oh, that's fucking dope. I never fucking noticed that. But yeah, so apparently that glitch self of her is always following her. So, okay.
Gotcha.
Starting the video. It's a pretty long video, Nathan. Like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, go. Can you hear it?
Turn it up.
That's good. Venture into a living nightmare as we join 2 children fighting to survive a world full of monstrous dangers at every turn. This is the story of Little Nightmares 2 Explained. Before beginning, let me quickly outline what this video entails. This exploration of Little Nightmares 2 will serve as both a story.
Josh, the video's fucking. The video's fucking. The video's fucking. The video is fucking. Jesus Christ.
Pause it. But look.
I can't see anything. It's all the bitrate is so shit.
Okay, end the stream. Start it again.
Oh my god.
Close out and come back in.
Yeah. I restart it.
Did that work?
Theory video. Hey guys, Super Horror Bro Mike here, and in today's video we venture into a living nightmare as we join two children fighting to survive a world full of monstrous dangers
it's
at
okay
every
right now.
turn. This is the story of Little Nightmares 2 Explained. Before beginning, let me quickly outline what this video entails. This exploration of Little Nightmares 2 will serve as both a story
See, this right here is like this bathroom scene in The Shining.
Oh, okay.
recap and theory video. We begin as I walk you,
It's like the old lady.
through
There's
the
an old lady
game
in the
beat
bathtub,
by
and she like
beat,
opens
acting
the
as a nice way
curtain.
to catch up on the overall story and its most memorable
That's
moments.
so fucked
At
up.
certain points, we will stop to don our
Don't
theory
pause
caps
it, 'cause
and
you'll fuck it up.
analyze key
Just let it keep going.
information, with special attention paid to that unforgettably strange and morbid ending and what exactly it all means. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this full breakdown of Little Nightmares 2's story and its ending. The game opens as we are drawn down a long corridor that bends and distorts before our very eyes. A large doorway is found at the end of this corridor, with the door itself featuring a carving of the iconic eye symbol seen throughout the Little Nightmares series.
I mean, the video
Before
that
we
was
get to
talking
see what
Well, you said there was
may lie
like two
behind
you
this
watched.
door, a blast of static sends us
this
flying
might be the
back
third one.
out of the television screen in the middle
okay, we'll
of
watch
a
all of them.
forest clearing. Here, a young boy with a paper bag covering his head awakens with a jolt. This is Mono, our main protagonist and character we must navigate through the many deadly environments of Little Nightmares.
Yeah, but the other video that I watched goes
Mono,
through the entire
seemingly without
timeline.
clear purpose, sets off
That's okay.
into
We'll
the
watch this one
gloomy
first.
woodland ahead. The deeper into these woods he ventures, the more hostile his surroundings become, forced to evade many dangers, including falling trees and bear traps hidden beneath the leafy floor by the local hunter. It isn't long before Mono reaches the cabin of this hunter, and upon finding his way inside, he makes a surprising discovery. Mono follows the sound of music downstairs, and locked inside a basement is a young girl who we know as Six, although her iconic yellow raincoat is nowhere to be seen. She plays a music box which emits a familiar tune. Using a nearby axe,
When you
Mono
zoom in,
manages
she's
to
not
break
even
down
pulling the
door to
thing.
Six's prison
It's
and
just her
spring
hand
her
moving
free.
around.
Unfortunately, she doesn't trust his kindness and takes flight. Mono manages to catch up to Six, who is attempting to reach the attic in order to secure her escape. The two soon realize that two heads, no matter how small, are certainly better than one, and so form an uneasy alliance in order to survive.
Yeah, and here's where one of the
Now things begin to go a little more smoothly as the duo solve puzzles and work together to escape the hunter's clutches. It should also be noted
He goes
at
through
this
the
point
entire
that I
story
will
in
not
this
be
video.
going into too much of a detailed analysis and explanation of any of the game's monsters in this video. That will come in a separate video very shortly, or if you would like to see each of these terrors in their full uncut form, you can check out my full 5-part playthrough and see how I reacted to each of their various peculiarities. The hunter hot on their trail,
I would have had a
Mono and
5-part
Six
if I
outrun
split
glare of
the
his
2 chapters
flashlight
today,
and
but
blasts
I
of his
didn't.
shotgun, wading through slimy swamps and desperately rushing
he
from
did a video
cover to
for
cover until they happen upon a garden shed. Six locks the door while Mono grabs a spare gun from the wall. It takes all of the strength the two can muster, but justice is served and the hunter given a taste of his own medicine. Clambering onto an old door, Mono and Six take an awkward ride across a misty lake. Six seems deeply troubled, and this unrest seems to be about more than the recent act of murder she just partook in. After all, she is no stranger to that. However, there isn't time to contemplate why, as the children soon find themselves washed ashore outside of a giant urban settlement. This colony is known as the Pale City. The buildings literally buckle and bend under the strain of a transmission emanating from a structure at its center known as the Signal Tower. The tower is able to distort
That's
the
some
very
Half-Life
world
shit, bro.
around
The
it,
Citadel.
and is responsible for the twisted appearance of the characters living within this nightmarish universe.
Is it?
At this time, we learn a startling revelation in regard to Mono himself. He approaches a television which seems to be broadcasting a harmful signal. Upon touching the screen, Mono is able to warp and bend the image within. An image we are familiar with as it forms the hallway scene during the opening sequence of the game. Mono straightens out this bendy tunnel and is then warped inside the screen itself. As he heads for the door at the far end, time itself begins to slow and Mono is ejected back into reality. For now, the hazardous transmission has been calmed, but what could lie behind the door in that in-between dimension? And why exactly is it calling out to Mono? Mono and Six make their way inside the Pale City, and it isn't long before an ominous building blocks their path forward. A creepy old schoolhouse.
Look, there's the ball.
Making their way
That's where the
inside
mask
this
is.
building leads to all manner of hardship. The school is inhabited by mischievous students known as the Bullies, and a terrifying teacher watches over them. This teacher has been so warped by the signal tower that her neck is now able to stretch out like a snake to horrifying lengths. It is also worth noting what exactly it is
the signal
these
tower
students are being
is what
taught
has
by
done
their
that to
teacher.
everyone?
Looking to the
Apparently, that's what
chalkboard
he
here and the scrawlings of this kid in detention
made the
here,
signal
we
tower?
see an eerily common theme. Sketches of those all too familiar eyes, and furthermore, the ominous signal tower itself.
See, the signal tower
It
again
seems
shows
the
up.
broadcast infects every facet of this world, corrupting the very minds of its inhabitants and brainwashing them into blindly worshipping its rogue transmission. After becoming trapped inside a fallen locker, Mono finds himself powerless to help as Six is overpowered and stolen away by a group of schoolhouse bullies. It is now up to Mono to save his newfound companion, so he continues on alone. A series of hair-raising encounters with both teacher and student unfolds as Mono makes his way through libraries, dinner halls, and science labs. Eventually, he manages to reunite with Six, who has been strung up by her captors. Mono saves her from this torment, and the two seem to form a stronger bond because of it. However, at this point in the story, Six's slightly preoccupied demeanor
saved her
takes a
bitch
more
ass twice.
sinister turn. It isn't long before, upon encountering another bully, Six goes out of her way for vengeance and kills in a very angry and sadistic fashion. It seems a darkness
I must have
festers
missed
within
this
her
part when I was
soul.
playing.
No, we
think
took
I
the
watched
hammer
this
and we
Escaping
killed
through
them.
the vents of the schoolhouse
That's what we
with
did.
an
We picked up the
enraged,
hammer and we
bloodthirsty
killed them.
teacher in hot
Yeah, we
pursuit,
didn't let
the kids
her
find
kill them.
themselves
No.
once again on the cold and rainy streets.
But yeah, that's
of
what
a Pale
happened. She
City.
like beats the
It
shit
isn't
out of them
long
if you
before
don't
they
kill
happen
them.
upon a rather interesting garment of clothing, a yellow raincoat, which Six immediately
look, there's a little
uses
gnome
to take shelter
on the
from
back
the
wall.
damp outside. This raincoat and its inclusion at this point in the story of Little Nightmares 2 is an interesting point to pick up on. Why? Well, because it raises some questions as to where exactly in the overall timeline of Little Nightmares this
Has to be a
sequel
prequel.
fits. And don't worry, we'll circle back
in the
to this
middle
very
of the
interesting
Pale City.
timeline question later. Next stop is the hospital, another creepy building our heroes must traverse on their journey into the
This
heart
was
of
the
darkness.
creepiest
The
fucking part of the
hospital
game.
is home of the
The
Mad
Doctor.
Doctor, a grotesque, obese creature bundled into a mass of overalls who hangs from the ceilings of the hospital wards, creating horrifying works of art in his surgery.
Ugh.
The Doctor makes a living via the creation of masks, which he sells onto those who can afford to hide their deformities.
Which makes
This
sense for the
explains why
chefs.
so many monsters from the original game wear these masks, and also why less privileged beings, such as this hunter, must make do with an old potato sack instead. The
Huh.
Doctor isn't the only threat
Interesting.
living within the walls of the hospital.
So
Mono
they're
and Six
normal,
encounter
or-
living body parts, such as
I
these
think he's trying to say
spiral-like
like
hands
the
which scuttle
chefs
through
and
the
stuff.
dimly
That's
lit
why they wear
hallways,
the mask,
looking
because
to put the squeeze on
they're trying to
anything
hide
that crosses
their
their
ugly
path.
faces.
Luckily, Mono is a dab hand at breaking
But it's still
bones
ugly.
with his hammer.
But I guess they don't know.
There are also mannequin-like patients. These were once residents of the Pale City who approached the Doctor looking for a little cosmetic surgery, but got more than they signed up for. The doctor
How
has
do you
removed
know that?
everything
Like,
That makes
are you-
sense, though.
is
That does
assumption?
make
human,
sense.
and they now
Is that
inhabit
assumptions,
mannequin
though?
bodies,
Or is that, like-
shuffling about in the darkness.
Might be assumptions. You might
However,
pull it from the
shining
comic.
the
I
light
don't know.
on these patients freezes them
That's
to
true.
the spot, as if
could.
in that moment they remember the bright light of the operating theatre and are sent back to a time they
Yeah,
had
the comics-
previously forgotten. A time when they were once human.
Were like placed
One
before
might
the
ask,
Nightmares 2.
how does the doctor transform his patients from human to mannequin and yet keep them alive? It's an interesting question, and once again, one I can only offer my own theory on for you to consider. To explain this process, we must take a look at another element of Little
what is
Nightmares
that?
2 I had previously neglected
I never.
to
Oh, I
mention.
never went in there.
The spirit
I never went in the
children, or
outhouse.
glitches as they are referenced in the game's menu screen.
Never went in the outhouse.
These glitches are echoes of the past, souls left behind after the host's body has been taken.
Now, I know that
but
area.
remain
I didn't go
within
there, but
the
I do
realm
know
of the
that area.
living as a result of the signal tower and its refusal to let anything escape its broadcast range. These souls are frozen in time by the transmission, so to speak. What's even more interesting about these ghosts is that Mono is able to consume them, sucking them up into his body almost as a form of energy. Keep this in mind for later in the
Very
video.
weird.
The doctor uses this electric chair to fry his victims, making them stare hypnotically into a drawing linked to the broadcast. This keeps the soul trapped in our reality, and the body can then be disposed of or repurposed for other means. The glitched out soul transferred into a new host body. In this case, the mannequin-esque works of art the doctor enjoys crafting. Before leaving the hospital, Mono and Six are chased down by the doctor himself, who luckily does not manage to sign them up for his patient waiting list. Instead, after a mad dash to the incinerator room, the duo are able to trick the doctor into crawling inside the furnace, burning him alive in a true Hansel and Gretel style moment. Mono and Six leave the hospital
just
behind,
sits down?
now on the final leg of their great adventure. They make their way through the city streets and toward the signal tower at its center. This is where they first encounter the townsfolk. These city dwellers are known as the viewers and stare hypnotically into their television screens, transfixed by the audio and visual oddities transmitted. Some even take things a little too far, falling to their deaths in a desperate attempt to get closer to these screens, while others find the signal tower so calming
That was
they give
probably one of the
themselves
most
to the broadcast
disturbing
completely,
fucking
falling from the
scenes.
tops of buildings as their life force is sapped away.
That was so disturbing.
The faces of these viewers
Yeah.
are eroded and withered. This is a direct result of the distortion affecting the world of Little Nightmares as a result of the signal tower and its broadcast.
You're supposed to hide
You
right
see
there?
just what
I
kind
didn't
of
do that
effect
shit.
this transmission has on brick and mortar around the Pale City, so it's no surprise this distortion causes such affliction and deformity to flesh and bone, which of course is far weaker and more malleable. You may also
why
ask,
does it do it?
why are the clothes of these viewers found throughout the city streets and its buildings, as if the people wearing them up and vanished? This question is answered very soon, so hang tight. While
does it?
exploring a
Is it?
dilapidated building, Mono discovers another TV set broadcasting a powerful transmission.
Yeah,
Once again, he warps
this was the
inside.
part.
However, this time he manages to hold out and reach the door at the end of the hallway. But within seconds, Mono wishes he
I
hadn't.
loved this scene
Opening
so
the
much.
door
See, but he's
releases
sitting
a
in the
powerful
chair.
entity from
I
within.
love this
a
scene so
tall,
much.
lanky, all-powerful
So the question is
phantom
that him?
known as
Is that
the
you?
Finnman.
So that
That's
is
you.
Like Mono, Finnman
That's
is
your
able
future
to
self.
transition between the world
Fucking
within the
nuts.
television screens and our own reality.
That's your future self. That's your destiny right there.
that
be
shit,
something.
bro. Him crawling out of the TV.
Six and Mono
he,
desperately
like,
try to escape
cracks his
grasp,
body
but
and everything. Oh.
It's some
unfortunately,
Slender Man
Six
vibes,
doesn't
dude.
pick the best hiding place and is taken.
It is some Slenderman vibes.
Goodbye.
From this chilling sequence, we learn something very unsettling about Finnman and his implications on the rest of this tormented world. It seems he claims the bodies of these victims. The glitches of the children we find around this world are a result of his actions. Finnman claims his prey, leaving only an echo of their existence behind, captured in time by the signal tower's transmission. This also explains why the clothes of these viewers have been left behind. As a tweet on the official Nightmares account states, "Where they're going, they won't need these anymore." The viewers have been claimed by the signal tower.
I didn't know they tweeted that out.
Before the tower takes their bodies, it first consumes their life force, quite possibly to power itself. As the viewers are transfixed to the broadcast, their bodies erode and energy is drained until they wither and die, at which point Thin Man claims them for the tower. Mono makes his way through the streets alone, avoiding droves of mindless yet savage viewers who seem pretty ticked off every time our hapless adventurer interrupts their static shows.
My man really captured every single one of them though? Jesus
the
Christ.
horrifying ghost of Thin Man once more, who is able to slow down time whenever he is near, bending reality as if it were a signal of a television screen itself. The ghost echo of 6 leads Mono to the rainy streets outside of the signal tower itself, where as Thin Man finally catches up, it seems all is lost. However, things are about to take a shocking turn. Mono removes the paper bag from his head, and a swell of energy begins to form around him. We noted earlier in the video that Mono had the ability to access the dimension in between worlds, a place from which the signal tower seems to exist. He also had the ability to consume the glitches of those children taken by Thin Man. We now learn he has a very similar power. In fact, Mono is even stronger than his shadowy nemesis.
I'm guessing, and the only reason he is that strong is because he absorbed all the glitches?
He takes on Thin Man in an epic battle on the rain-soaked streets and eventually vanquishes him. As Thin Man fades into eternal rest, Mono bends the city to his will and warps directly outside the signal tower. Strangely, the doors open wide as if to welcome him inside.
His power has faded over the years?
The inside of the signal tower seems to be a dimension unto itself. Gravity exists for Mono as he explores, yet objects float around as if gravity isn't present at all. A pinky purple haze coats everything, and stairs lead Mono through doorway after doorway, seemingly without end. He is guided by one familiar sound, a piece of music any Little Nightmares fan will instantly recognize. The music Mono first heard when he met 6 playing with her music box in the hunter's cabin.
Pulling the fucking thing. Yep. It's from the music box.
Eventually, this music leads Mono to a strange room full of children's toys, and in this room, he makes a terrible discovery.
There's a bunch of cues in here, like a bunch of hints.
And distorted herself, bent to the will of the signal tower, and twisted into a giant nightmarish abomination. She closely guards a music box, which she seems very protective over, as
the design on it was very well done.
Mono realizes
you can't see her face at all.
Holds some kind of power over his friend, and so takes a hammer and smashes it with all of his might.
I mean, you find out though, that's what was keeping her like that.
Yeah.
This sends 6 into a fit of furious rage, and causes the tower to begin revealing its true form. As 6 chases Mono through the ever-changing halls of this structure, its walls transform from plaster to flesh. Everything in this place is fake, an illusion to mask the evil festering within. An elaborate boss battle ensues as Mono must stealthily avoid 6 and trick her into moving away from her music box so that our hero may sneak in for the attack. With every smash of the box, 6 grows weaker, but more agitated. Whenever Mono strikes the music box, he is thrown into darkness and must locate a wooden doorway and axe to break through in order to return to his tormented friend. It seems the signal tower is able to pull from one's own memories. In Mono's case, it uses a memory he associates with 6, when he first freed her from imprisonment in the hunter's cabin, and applies it to his quest to free her here. For 6, the music box is used, the one thing that kept her calm and collected while she was held prisoner herself. However, the tower seems to use this memory against 6, making sure she guards the object that binds her to this twisted form. We know this because when Mono finally delivers the finishing blow and destroys the music box, the signal tower loses its control over Six and returns her to human form. Now before we move on to the game's ending, I would like to briefly address my personal theory as to why Six looked and acted this way while held within the signal tower. When we think of what exactly the signal tower is, it seems to be a living organism, a fleshy mass disguised as a structure. The tower preys on the life force of others and uses its powers to distort and corrupt everything around it. Its fleshy form explains
That's why eyes are the symbol.
Energy has been sapped. Their flesh and bones are consumed to add to the tower's ever-growing mass of body parts. Those trapped inside are reduced to their most basic form. The dark side of their personalities manifest in physical form. For Six, who throughout both Little Nightmares games has shown to possess a cruel and sadistic persona, despite often having good intentions, this manifestation was represented clearly. A bitter, twisted, angry and vengeful creature, amplified by the signal tower, which exploits the very darkest reaches of one's soul. Her only comfort, as stated before, the music box she associated with happy memories, and in the cruelest of twists, the tower used this happy memory to bind her. Six was guarding her own imprisonment. With Six saved from the tower's control, the two
Look at how she
adventurers
looks
make
at you.
haste
She's just
and
like,
rush for the exit. The
bitch.
tower now fully revealing itself as a gory mess of flesh, organs, and eyeballs. Remember those
She
eye
ditches your
symbols
ass
we
too.
see
She's
throughout
like,
the
"I'm
world
out."
of Little Nightmares, always watching. The eyes everyone seems obsessed with. Well, they now make total sense, considering this structure that has warped the world into the nightmare it is made up from them. Six races ahead, but Mono stumbles. He is left behind as the bridge leading to their escape collapses. At first it seems as though Six will leave him. However, at the last minute, she doubles back and catches Mono by the hand, only to let him go a few moments later.
Goodbye. Dude, there's so many reaction videos of this online.
So, why this sudden betrayal?
I
Mono
can't
saved
believe it,
Six
bro.
at the
I
beginning
still
of the
can't believe it.
game. Once
What if
again
we
in the
both walked through the
schoolhouse,
TV, bro?
and then
It
yet
would have been
again
fine.
on
We
the
would have been cool.
confines of the
We would have went to the
signal
mall
tower.
Someone
together.
glitched
So it
the
seems
game
strange
and,
Six would
like,
let him
that
fall,
she actually
and
does
on
pick you back
purpose,
up.
no less.
And you both
However,
walked through the
if we consider
TV.
the kind of person
Yeah.
that Six is,
Someone
things
glitched
make a
it.
little more sense. You see, Six
Nothing
has
happens,
always
though,
looked
probably.
out for her own
Like
survival
on purpose.
first
Well,
and
he's like
foremost.
in the
And when
cutscene
we consider
when she
the
like
events
pops out
of
the
Little
TV. He's
Nightmares
like staying
2
there
and the
already
horrors
outside
she
the TV.
encountered while accompanying
Really?
Mono, it is logical
Yeah.
to conclude she grew tired of being put in
But it's like
harm's
it doesn't.
way.
Nothing happens. Like
While
he's just
Mono
there.
had saved her, he had also exposed her to many very perilous encounters. Add
It's
to that
true.
the fact
It's not
he
his
knows
fault,
Six is
though.
not a very trusting person, and after the hardships she has been subjected to, who can blame her? And if we pay close attention to the scenes in which Mono attempts to reach the door within the signal dimension, we can see the real reason he is ejected from
It's
these
because she
television
pulls him out.
sets is because Six pulls him out, sensing he is being drawn to something sinister. Knowing Mono possesses such radical powers, the same powers as Thin Man himself no less, would be a major red flag.
I like Tall Man
It
better.
is likely
but okay.
Six felt threatened by Mono's presence, and was worried he may turn on her at some point. Better to leave him behind and take no
See,
chances.
that's one theory.
But then, why did she return to him at all? Well, look to the exit. It is made up of a static portal, much like those television screens that Mono uses his powers to transition through at various points during their adventure. Six was never able to travel through these screens herself, because she did not possess such power. If we recall the ending of the original Little Nightmares, you will remember that Six drained the lady of her powers when she herself was powerless. This sequence seems to mirror that scene. Mono, now powerless, hangs in the balance, and Six returns to him and absorbs just enough of his power to allow her to escape without the aid of her newfound friend. We are given confirmation that Six obtains an element of Mono's power in the game's true ending, unlocked by collecting up all 18 glitching remains. Here we
I don't know if I
witness
agree with
Six
this.
exiting the signal tower through a television screen, much like Mono does. However, this consumption of power has one terrible consequence. It causes Six to glitch herself. Her body cannot handle this new energy, and so while Six is able to channel the power of others, it changes her every time. In this first instance, Six loses her soul, the good she had
Look, it's the
within.
ball.
Her moral compass is removed, and in its place, a hunger to fill the void. A hunger we know all too well.
That can kind of make sense. I'm not gonna lie.
That's right, Little Nightmares 2 is no sequel, but a stealth prequel to the events of the original Little Nightmares.
Yeah, 100%.
Six warps to the mall, where she now carries an unquenchable desire to fill the void
Question is, how'd she
left
warp
by her
there?
split soul. A hunger which led
I do agree with
to
the
some
split soul
unfortunate
thing, but I don't know if she took his powers. Because there's
So
no
Little
evidence of
Nightmares
that.
But you think the
2
soul
leads
is split?
directly into the sequel,
Yes, I do
which
think
we
that
already
it
played
fucked up her
back
soul
in
and she's trying to regain it.
2017. Mind blown, right? Now his use has been served, Six discards Mono and leaves him to the mercy of the signal tower. But as she escapes, Six doesn't quite realize the horrifying ramifications of her actions. Mono becomes trapped at the bottom of the tower, amongst the flesh and eyes. The signal
I would
tower
lose
then
it.
harnessing
I
his
would lose
remaining
it. I'll probably
power
just
and
bite off my
channeling
tongue.
itself through him. Mono takes a seat and returns the tower to its fake form, hiding its grotesque appearance behind brick and mortar once again.
But they're
There is
all
no happy
children,
ending here.
right? He is
No
a
escape
child, and
for
he
poor
grows
Mono.
up to be a
Over the
big,
years,
like, tall
we see
guy.
him make
Yeah.
a chilling transformation.
Which means that,
the
like,
signal tower corrupts his body and mind. It
they do
uses
grow
his
up
powers to broadcast
these
out
big
to the world and to
humans?
drain those of their life force, bending their bodies into hideous forms through the distorted signal it transmits. Mono becomes Thin Man. He has always been Thin Man. The
Oh, he's
story
been
of
Thin
Little
Man.
Nightmares 2 is a never-ending cycle. Mono and his powers, exploited though they may be, are the cause of all of the evil and suffering found in all three Little Nightmares games. Six's betrayal turned Mono's pure and innocent mind into one seething with anger and hatred, a hatred the tower now uses to its advantage. You may ask how Thin Man, who we will now refer to as Thin Mono, exists in the same time period as Young Mono. After all, the two even threw down against one another. This is fairly easy to explain if we consider how a transmission works. The signal tower puts out a broadcast, but a broadcast has no particular tie to any time zone or period. It is simply a frequency, and as long as there is something to transmit that frequency, then anything living within it is free to travel across time, existing in a separate dimension altogether. So, as Thin Man, Mono is able to travel between past, present, and future at will. He simply required someone to free him from this prison, and thus travels back to his childhood to try and trick his younger self into opening the door that imprisons him, freeing him from the signal tower's control and releasing him into the outside world. Here, Thin Mono attempts to destroy Six and Young Mono, as their demise would mean an end to this cycle. It would stop Six from betraying his younger self and prevent his eternal imprisonment inside the tower. It would also save the world from
that makes
eternal damnation.
sense.
Unfortunately, Mono is always bested by
Yeah,
his
so
younger,
it just doesn't
stronger
matter.
self.
It's never
and
gonna
so
matter.
The cycle repeats forever, and Mono remains forever trapped.
If he
And with
beat
that, we have
his
come
young
to the
self,
end of this
then he'd
very
be fine.
long and very in-depth
Or if he
video.
killed Six,
This
he'd
is
be
actually
fine.
far longer than I had planned it to be, but hopefully you enjoyed it and now understand the world of Little Nightmares 2 a little better. Also, it should be said once again that there are many interpretations of this story, and this is simply mine. If you enjoyed watching
Yep, this
today,
is simply
remember to leave a
mine.
like, comment down.
Okay,
Alright.
this is not the story that I wanted you to watch. I wanted to watch this one, which is a lot shorter, and it's like 15 minutes.
I mean, I get what he's saying though.
Hey guys,
it's the same. It's the same guy. It's
Yeah.
just
I get what
he
he's
went over the
saying.
entire story of the second one. This one goes over the entire timeline and how they connect.
Did you only watch 2 videos? Are these the 2 videos?
No, I watched another video, which is where is it? It's like recommended with this one.
That?
No, that's the one. No, that's the one that we watched the other day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was by this guy called the Gaming Beaver.
Oh, Okay. All right, we'll watch that one last.
Super horror
I want an
Mike
idea of
here,
the
and in
entire
this
timeline.
Video, we take a step
This
back
one,
and
he
look at the big picture
okay, so
as we attempt to
this
set
one
a
goes over the entire timeline, but the other one that I watch goes over more of Six's past and like her future.
Okay.
Timeline
and what
to
her
the
destiny
entire
is.
Little Nightmares universe.
Which is more,
There
like,
have
it's
been
interesting.
3 games in total: Little Nightmares and its DLC, Secrets
It's gonna
of
go
the
over the
Law,
DLC,
the mobile
so
spin-off,
not
Very
too
Little
much.
Nightmares,
It doesn't
and
go.
the
It just goes
full-fledged
over the ending that
sequel,
you already
Little
know.
Nightmares
Okay.
2. All of these games are connected.
Do you believe it's for the
but
Switch?
how?
That's nuts.
Well, sit back, relax,
Yeah.
and get ready for a
Both of them
guide
are
through
for
the
the Switch.
events of these games in the order that makes most
Dude,
sense.
the
at
pre-orders
least
are
to
so
my mind.
cool.
In addition to nailing down a rough
'Cause the,
timeline, this
I'll
video
tell you
will
later.
aim to contextualize various.
Look, okay, so the hand with the eye. I
Yeah.
forgot this happens.
Dude, I didn't
This
even
fact.
notice that on the TV.
Like, that's interesting though. That connects to the second one because it's the TV and it has the hand with the eye on it.
Mm-hmm.
Elements using
And
theories
he's
seem most
obsessed with it.
logical.
You see, like he's
With
petting
all of
the
that
TV
said,
and everything.
Let us
Yeah.
begin
He's
at
obsessed
the
with it,
very start
like the
of this
other
nightmarish
people
tale,
in the
with
universe.
the origin story found within Very
Interesting.
Little
That's very interesting.
Nightmares. Released as a mobile offshoot back in 2019, Very Little Nightmares was a touchscreen puzzle
So,
game.
Very
with a
Little Nightmares is
different
the
art
first one in
style.
the story.
It used
Really?
hand-drawn visuals to tell the
Yes.
story
Okay.
of a character which at first glance appeared to be our heroine Six. Using this familiar character, players explored an old mansion built atop a tall cliff face in the middle of the ocean, a place known as the Nest. It is eventually revealed that this character is not Six. Her name is simply the girl in the yellow raincoat. A raincoat she eventually loses as she plummets to her death while being chased by a monstrous child known as the Pretender. We can clearly see from her haircut that this girl is not Six. However, Six does feature throughout the game. A fellow prisoner who ends up fleeing the
looks like
nest
a lot like
alongside
her.
the girl in the yellow
Mhm.
raincoat and escaping on a raft
Which is
after her
interesting why they
companion
look so
met
similar,
a
but,
watery
you know.
grave. Before the events of Little Nightmares 2, I had assumed Six acquired her iconic yellow raincoat after leaving the shore of the nest aboard her raft and scooping it out of the water, then being picked up by the mysterious boatman character and taken to the moor, or perhaps simply washing up beside it and finding her way inside. This speculation is now proven incorrect.
Incorrect. And this is how they're going to explain it.
How do we know Little Nightmares 2 takes place in the weeks and months after the story of Very Little Nightmares? Well, there are several reasons to make this connection. If we look at the digital comics, which acts as a precursor to the events of the sequel, we see Six without raincoat and looking as if she just stepped off the raft at the end of the mobile game. She is captured by the Hunter, a haunting sight that her would-be companion Mono witnesses, and seemingly the reason he sets off to free Six
These
at the
comics are
beginning
kinda
of
cool,
Little
though.
Nightmares 2.
I like it.
When we
I like the art
finally
style.
discover
Yeah.
Six, there are several key points of interest found within her prison room. First of all, the music box, an item comforting her during her imprisonment. We see a representation of this music box at the end of the game, Monster 6 holding it with extreme importance. In fact, the signal tower uses this box to corrupt and bind her to its spell. Although referenced in the first Little Nightmares game, this scene in Little Nightmares 2 seems to be Six's first introduction to the item and the reason for its hold over her. She connected with it as a coping mechanism during a time of great emotional trauma in her childhood. Also look to the chalk sketches on the walls,
This is
presumably the work of
interesting how he
Six
explains
while
this.
being held here. The tally marks are easy enough to explain. They signify a passing of time, maybe days, weeks, or months. Six has, after all, been here for a while. We also see Six has drawn an image of the signal tower.
I didn't notice
This
that the
drawing
first
is
time.
almost an exact match for those scenes sketched by the bullies
did I.
within the schoolhouse.
Yep.
To me, this suggests the signal
Signal
tower
tower.
has already began calling to Six and hypnotizing her with its corrupt transmission, much as we see with the
Which is
other
interesting
because
because she hasn't been here yet,
world.
but she
In
knows
fact,
like, she
later
drew
in
them.
the game, as the two adventurers pass by the tower, Six stares up at it as if under a spell. This may well
Yeah, that's
be why she
interesting,
was so easily manipulated, distorted, and corrupted while held prisoner within. The tower already held sway over her mental state. But most interesting of all, the sketches are for people we have seen before. People with their faces scratched out, as if to suggest they are now dead. The sketch on the far right represents a person falling. Remember back to the final moments of Very Little Nightmares, the girl in the yellow raincoat who fell to her death at the hands of the Pretender. It seems this sketch represents her. But then, what about the others? Well, for now we must move on, but don't worry, we'll be back to revisit these sketches at the end of this video. You may be asking, what about the yellow raincoat? Why did 6 not have this key item if this game follows on directly from the events of Very Little Nightmares? This is actually fairly easy to speculate on. The main point to bear in mind is that while we see 6 about to leave the shore of the nest aboard the driftwood raft, we never see her collect up the floating raincoat. It's therefore logical to conclude this raincoat took the same tide as 6 and washed up ashore near the Pale City. However, unlike 6, it was not collected up by the hunter, but rather a denizen of the city itself. Eventually, its wearer was either taken by the signal tower, once again leaving the coat behind, or it was simply discarded. After all, these city streets are full of discarded junk at every turn. This is why 6 finds it
so
far
it's
from
floated
shore,
it
yet
to
looks on
the
it
city
as if it
instead
holds
of
some
the
connection
hunter
to her previously, reminding her of the
And that's why
child
it's
who helped
here.
her escape not too long ago. One more thing that really connects
That
6
she didn't
to the
actually pick it
events
up
of Very Little Nightmares
Very
preceding
Little
this game can be seen by her uncomfortable demeanor while riding the floating door across the river mouth here. It makes sense when we remember she had recently escaped a traumatic experience within the nest using the exact same means, an escape method which led to her capture by the hunter. Skipping to the end of the adventure, 6 is taken by Thin Man and imprisoned once again, this time within the walls of the
6 has
signal
been
tower
like through some
itself.
shit.
Here, its distorted signal twists and
She's been
corrupts
captured
6
3
in
times,
ways
and then
all
she
too
gets
familiar
captured a
to anyone
4th
who
time
has encountered monsters
in the
such as
first one.
Roger the Janitor. The signal tower uses Thin Man's power to warp and distort reality, which ravages the world and does exactly the same to poor 6. More importantly, it pulls from her memories to create a prison for her. While examining the items found within this room, many look eerily familiar. Again, we will revisit this concept at the end of this video. Mono eventually manages to cure 6 by destroying the music box, an item, as stated before, which binds her to this monstrous form. This leads to the signal tower revealing its true form, a living mass of flesh made up from the bodies of those it consumes. While escaping, Mono drops behind 6 and she grabs his hand to prevent him falling, but decides in a cruel turn of events to let her friend fall. Most likely because she senses the darkness calling him from within, and has witnessed Mono's dangerous powers, which she feels threatened by. Of course, 6 unwittingly dooms the world by doing this. Mono is imprisoned by the signal tower and his powers used to distort and warp the world throughout space and time. This creates a time paradox where Mono has always been Thin Man and so calls out to his past self so he may be freed from this prison within the tower and finally have a chance to break the cycle, saving the world and its inhabitants from this terrible fate. 6 leaves the signal tower, but part of her now belongs
Actually, I want to see something.
and its inhabitants, and finally have a chance to break the
Pulls the
cycle,
doorknob.
saving the world and its inhabitants from this terrible fate.
The doorknob looks like it changes into like
6
a
leaves
bald
the signal
doorknob.
tower, but part of her now
think that's just
belongs
how it
to
looks.
it. As seen with the glitching remains of the ghost children we find throughout Little Nightmares 2, her connection to Mono and the tower separates 6's soul from her body. Now incomplete, the loss of 6's soul leaves a great empty void, a void which must be satisfied. This is the birth of 6's hunger, a hunger we contend with throughout the very first Little Nightmares game. confirming Little Nightmares 2 is indeed the second game in the timeline and a prequel to the events of the original. We also note that
Funny that
Six's
the first
spirit
one
energy looks down at a poster
actually
of the Maw,
the last
suggesting
one.
the TV6
The second
exits the
one
tower through is either aboard the
is actually
Maw,
the second.
or she is
is
given
the
the
second one in
idea
the
to head
timeline,
there in order to gain
and then
access to the power
the
she
second
needs to
one
be
is
cured.
the last one.
Powers she eventually procures
Like it's the
from
first one.
sorceress, the Lady.
I mean.
With this information in hand, the first game is pretty
So it's
self-explanatory.
like they flipped the entire
game
game.
in the
Like,
timeline.
I mean, that's
continuing
literally
Six's
how
story
the
as
games
her hunger
itself
begins to
is in a
destroy her
wrong
from
order, you
within.
know, like it's
The
in a
ending
weird
of Little
order.
Nightmares 2 also sheds
Which
light
kinda fits
on a
with the whole
possible
thing.
Oh,
explanation for the
shit.
shadowy
See,
figure
she's
of
right
Six
there.
that watches over her each time she
Never
feasts.
saw that.
This
She's
is
been
the
there,
half of
like
her
yeah, she's
lost
been there the
after
entire time, and I never
escaping the
noticed
signal
it.
Tower. This hunger requires soul energy to properly quench its thirst, replacing elements of the soul Six herself has lost. This explains why, in a cruel twist of fate, Six eats the gnome child and not the sausage it offers up to
So she
her.
eats it to get its
also
soul.
explains why, upon killing the lady and consuming her dark magic, Six then uses said power to drain the life force from everyone else.
By the way, I don't
Oh.
think
She has become a monster herself, a monster with a never-ending
I don't think
hunger,
Six
sucking the life from
Six
anything
is
that
Lady's
stands
child
in her
anymore.
way.
Gotcha, yeah. But
So,
look, now
I
she's
believe that
consuming
they
their
are
souls.
theory.
ends and wrap up this
I believe
video.
a different theory about
Returning
Six.
to Six's chalk drawings in the hunter's house, and things suddenly click. Starting at the signal tower and working backwards reveals our timeline. It shows past and future, but not yet present. To explain, look to the far right, and we see events as they happen before Little Nightmares 2. The death of the girl in the yellow raincoat as she plunged to a watery grave. Then we see tally marks representing a passage of time. These lead to an empty gap. But why is this empty? Well, because it marks the current period of time for which the outcome is not yet determined. But perhaps this could be filled in with mono, like so. Moving on, we see another passing of time and then a drawing of the runaway boy and his gnome. This was the character found in the DLC Secrets of the Maw, which ran in sync with the events of Six's adventure in the original game. Another character who died by Six's hand as seen earlier in the video. Finally, another shorter passage of time and the death of the lady. This brings us bang up to date with the story of Little Nightmares as we know it, and everything ties in to that image at the back of this room, the signal tower itself. What's interesting about the placement of the signal tower drawing is how it's sketched upon a different
This is
wall
interesting.
surface.
I don't know if I buy this,
To me,
but
this
this
makes
is
sense, as the signal tower exists on a separate plane of existence within time and space, a dimension where time is fluid and past, present, and future are as one. This explains why we see items from Six's past and future within this same room. Take for example her suitcase from the Maw. It doesn't exist in her memories as of the story of Little Nightmares 2, but can still appear in her prison within the tower due to its ability to draw from events still to occur. Look to these
That's
portraits
interesting.
for example, and again we see a timeline represented right to left. At the far right, we see Six as a child, cowering in her raincoat. Then, in the center, an image representing the lady,
She's
her face
feeding,
scratched
she's not
away
actually
to
cowering.
represent her demise. On the left, we see a horrifying face, but one that seems familiar in a way. It looks similar to that of a granny found in the depths of a Maw.
Yep.
I had theorized previously that this granny is what would eventually become of the lady.
Look at her
as
face, I didn't
powers
notice that
ravaged her
either.
body
Look
over
at her face.
time. The pretender from Very Little Nightmares. The
Well, no,
next
you
in
don't
line
see
to
that
take
until the
lady's
DLC.
place after she herself took the
Oh, yeah, I
place
guess not.
of a previous granny.
Plus,
Again,
it's like-
it's all
I
one
thought,
big
like,
cycle. It
Yep.
No, that
seems
scene was
as
in
Six
the
is
She's
the
ugly as
original
fuck,
lady's
bro.
Power,
Feels bad.
she may be in for a similar fate, to become disfigured and monstrous over time. This portrait showing Six in the future. Perhaps if Little
She's
Nightmares
saying
3
maybe
does
that's,
happen,
like, what's
we
gonna
will
happen
witness
in
this
Little Nightmares
horrifying
2.
transformation, unless Mono finds a way to escape his Thin Man fate and break the time paradox that is. One question remains. How is Six able to draw from memories of her future?
Look at that right there,
Memories
though.
she
That's
shouldn't
cool.
yet
That
have
shows like
access
him.
to.
Yeah.
Well,
The
if we
fedora
think
in the
about the
middle.
names Six
Oh, I see
and
why you get the
Mono
fedora at
and
the end
what they
now.
represent
Yeah,
in
makes
literal
yeah, it's because
terms,
you're tall,
we can
man.
jump to some logical conclusions. Mono means one, only, or single. This makes sense, as the origin of this terrifying world falls to Mono and his fate as Thin Man within the Signal Tower.
But I want to know how
There is
the
only one
tower
Mono,
became a
and he is
thing.
the
Like,
ground
how did
zero
that
event,
become a
which
thing?
triggers everything before and after.
I don't know if we're ever
While
gonna get that
running
answer.
towards
I
the
think
door
it
Thin Man
literally is
trapped
just a
behind,
paradox.
If we pay close attention, we can see the number
Like
6.
it's always has
This
existed, but
suggests that this
also
door
never
is
have
number
existed. in the-
6, and therefore the sixth
Fucking
cycle
you know?
within this paradox. If
Like,
so,
it's a
then
time
6
paradox because
has her
it's
name
always
due
been
to
there.
being the catalyst for this particular cycle. She triggers the events that doom this world each time when handing over Mono
like,
to the
he
Signal Tower's
creates
control.
the
If
tower
this theory is
while
correct,
also
then 6 is simply the 6th
being
of her
created by the
kind,
tower.
with 5 prior
fucking
versions
weird.
existing in different failed timelines. So,
Yeah,
with
see, that's interesting. This part's interesting.
Six may be able to hold on to vague memories of past time events or other incarnations experiences.
Okay, I don't. That's a little interesting too. But also, she's the sixth one.
Mm-hmm.
In the other video, I'm gonna explain a different theory that I have.
this concept in mind,
Like, why
we
she's
can
called
conclude 6 may retain faint memories of her 5 prior incarnations. Of course, this is a stretch, but this is the only way the rest of this theory makes
But
sense.
I think it definitely
and
makes
why
sense.
Else
She is the
feature
sixth
number
one.
6 on the door here, and use such numerical terms.
Like, I think
for
this is
both
the sixth time
protagonists.
that this
Either
paradox
way,
has
that
happened.
head-scratching conundrum brings us to the end of this video, looking at
That
the
she is the
timeline of the
sixth
Little Nightmares
si-
universe.
like,
I hope you did enjoy
like
it.
the first
and if
six
you did,
wasn't
remember
called
to leave
six,
a like,
like her name
comment
was like
down below,
one,
and of
like
course
one or
subscribe
something
for more
like that.
horror-related content.
Or
Thanks
first,
for watching,
and then
and
it's
I
like
will
second,
see you
and
on the
then
next
third or
video.
whatever, you know? Okay, Interesting, huh?
Yeah, it's
very interesting. But this one's even more interesting because it dives into more of the story, and I like this theory. It also grabs some theories from this guy, or like he's thinking this similar way, but he kind of turns it a little bit
Yeah, this is the guy that I showed you.
on his head. See, I watched
Hello
this
and
video.
welcome. So soon, I know, to
He's funny.
another
I like
Little
his voice.
Nightmares theory video.
Yeah, I
or
did
should I
too.
say, a Little Nightmares
I watched his story
2
on the first one.
theory video. In this theory in particular, I'm going to do my best to break down
It's like
and
he's doing a
describe
voice like,
what I believe to be
"Ooh,
the story
spooky."
in Little Nightmares 2. So it goes without saying, of course, this is a theory, but that's all the fun of it when it comes to Little Nightmares. I'm going to answer burning questions, like why did Mono turn into the Thin Man at the end of the game? Why did Six seemingly betray Mono the way she did? And more importantly, where did Mono get that hat from? So let's not waste any more time
It's the
and
same
dive
question
straight
you had.
into
Where'd he
the
get the hat
story.
from?
On the surface, it's quite simple, really. Mono rescues Six, they shoot the huntsman, escape from the teacher, burn the doctor alive, free the Thin Man, Six gets captured, Mono defeats the Thin Man, rescues Six, regrets rescuing Six,
Long live the king.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's straight up
and then
scarred.
slowly,
She's
Mono
straight up is scarred.
transforms into
Just
the
like,
Thin Man.
goodbye.
Well, there you have it. That was a quick video, wasn't it? I'll see you guys later. If you know Little Nightmares like me, however, you'll know that simple isn't a word that exists in the Little Nightmares universe. And to understand what exactly is going on with the story, we're going to have to take a closer look at what all these actions really mean. But before we delve into the characters, we need to understand what the Signal Tower really is. The name sounds like it's broadcasting the signal to the TVs, and that's about it. But I think that might only be because of what's inside of it. The Thin Man. The Thin Man's power, much like Mono's, is to travel through the TVs and shoot out frequencies, or something like that. And he does something weird with his hand, look at him. But the Signal Tower may be similar to another place we've came across in the Little Nightmares universe. The Maw. The Maw was described as needing the lady to function, which is precisely why she's there, and may explain why the Thin Man is in the tower. These places require a person to be there, and without them, they cease to exist. Just like the end of Little Nightmares, when the lady is defeated, Six gets the lady's powers and takes her place.
So are we
These
gonna find out
structures are
that
places
Six
in which
is the
nightmares
lady?
exist, and they need a host to feed from.
You'll say, watch
When
the video.
Six is inside the tower, she doesn't become the Signal Man. She becomes her own nightmare. But Mono, well, We all know how that ends up. Speaking of which, let's talk about our favorite box head wearing fellow.
So let me tell you how this all came to.
No, not that one. This one. That's better. Mono. The name being a reference
That's
to
better.
different frequencies like
way
mono
he
and
talks.
stereo, which could relate to his interactions with the television sets. But let's be honest, he does quite a lot of that. From the very beginning of the game, Mono sets out to find the Thin Man and free him. Whether this is subconscious or not, he is always drawn to the alluring static of the televisions. In a not too dissimilar way to that of Six and her pursuit of the lady in the first game. Along the way, Mono comes across a child we now know to be Six, playing with a music box in a room all alone. Six is in stark contrast to Mono during the majority of the game. Mono has one focus: releasing the Thin Man and getting to the signal tower. Six, on the other hand, besides wanting to escape the Huntsman's house, doesn't seem to have a clear goal, except to accompany Mono. We see her quite often disinterested in Mono's quest, a lot of the time playing with objects in the world, a football in front of the school, playing with a mannequin's hand in the hospital, or even warming her hands by the smouldering remains of the Doctor. Needless to say, she's a very passive part of the adventure, until she's not. The moment that Six takes control of a situation and makes a decision that puts into effect something much bigger than both of them, the cycle begins again. The time loop theory. Time loop? What do you mean time loop? Well, if you manage to collect all the glitch children fragments in the game before completing it, you get this secret ending.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know, but that looks like it kind of looked like a Monster 6 in a tub. You know, like it looked like that was her raincoat, but I don't know.
Well,
That's some eerie shit too.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Here you see Six's next steps after she escapes the signal tower. The more, pointed out to her by Shadow Six. And it's here we realize The Little Nightmares 2 is not a sequel, but a prequel in a series of events that are destined to repeat
sequel,
themselves.
but a prequel.
So, if Mono is the Thin Man, then who is Six? In my previous theories, there have always been a common thread linking Six with the lady in one way or another, but now it's all become clear. The reason why the lady hums the same tune as Six's music box. The reason why the picture in Six's nightmare appears in the lady's own bedroom. The reason why just before it's destroyed, the music box is the exact same shape as the moor, chimney and all. Six is
See, that's
the
interesting.
lady
See, so he
from
thinks
a
that the
previous
music box looks like the
cycle.
morgue
Just as Mono is destined to
Huh.
become the Thin
when
Man,
it's smashed
Now
up.
this
Six
makes
is now
sense. I was
destined to
theorizing
become
that
the
Six
lady
is
of
the
moor.
lady.
The reason why Six
Yeah.
is so attached to the music box in
I
her
forgot that
monster
she
state
hums it
during
too.
her nightmare in the signal tower is because of what the music box represents. Remember, Six is only 9 at the time of the events of Little
She's 9.
Nightmares. Six is still a child.
I didn't know that's
and the
how she
music
old she
box
was, but yeah,
makes
she's 9.
her feel safe. It's something that was always constant to her until Mono, smacked down the door. Her entire
Smacked down the
nightmare
door.
room becomes a safe space for her. Even the teddy bears and toys are a reminder of the fun she had in the hospital when her and Mono were playing with the X-ray machine. The reason why the moor is shaped like the destroyed music box is because
Yeah, that definitely
is
looks.
her desire.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely
It's
see
her
it.
nightmare. A life with it or a life without it. With it, she can't bear to be apart from it. And without it is a nightmare all in itself. And if we just stop for a moment and have a look at the room that Six finds herself trapped in, there are even more clues that tie her to the lady. In general, the room is a purple color, and that's something that we found in the original Little Nightmares game that seems to be synonymous with the lady. Her residence area, her bedroom, everything is purple, even down to the wallpaper that we can see in this room.
Isn't
Even
that
if we look
crazy?
at the Residence DLC for
yep.
Little Nightmares,
The same
the
wallpaper.
same dolls that the lady was holding and caressing are right next to
Yep.
Six.
Okay.
Many times through the battle with
There's a lot.
Six's monster form, Mono has to break down a door to enter her room. In these brief moments, after Mono has smashed the music box, he finds himself in an empty vacuum. I believe this is what actually lies inside the signal tower. Nothing. But the monster that we see at the end of the game take control of Mono is already taking control of Six, therefore leaving the rest of the place barren. And how does Mono get back to Six? He smashes down the door just like he did when he first met Six. That this room we see Six in isn't actually her nightmare, but Mono breaking into the room is the nightmare. He was the one that took her away from her safe space, away from her music box. And just like Six's inevitable prison, it's the same way for the Thin Man and his giant tower. On the Little Nightmares website, in the Thin Man's description, it states he's searching for something. That something is Six. And what better way to find her than a giant tower overlooking all other buildings? So if this Thin Man is Mono, then why does he hunt you? And why does he steal Six away from you?
'Cause you
He's
fucking
not trying
killed
to
him.
kill Mono. He's trying to save him. His past self.
Yeah.
The Thin Man knows that if Mono keeps on going this course, he's going to end up exactly the same as him. That Six is going to drop him into the abyss, inadvertently become the next
Just so
Thin Man.
you just
So
can't
what
stop
does he
it.
do? He takes away Six from Mono in hopes of breaking his own cycle. He doesn't try to kill you when he captures you. He's trying to stop you. He's actively trying to chase you away from the TV, away from Six, and to stop you from rescuing her. Chasing you away from the signal tower where she's kept. Holding out his hand to stop you. Unfortunately, by the end, his desire to save himself is not as strong as his child self's desire to save Six, and over again, he is defeated. But the Thin Man isn't the only one that is trying to break this cycle, and he's not the only one suffering with a self-fulfilling prophecy. The lady, too, tries to stop it. Her imprisoning of the children is her way of stopping anyone who resembles Six coming after her, as she knows she was a child when she devoured the previous lady.
That's interesting,
She has
too.
deliberately broken every mirror in an attempt to disarm Six of a weapon, the only weapon that can defeat her. Although she herself doesn't have it in her to kill any children, and instead turns them into faceless, powerless gnomes that help power them all. And this brings us to the moment. You know, the one where someone will montage loads of popular YouTubers reacting to it. Wait, why am I there? The moment where escape seemed so close, about to escape the nightmare that is the signal tower. Six had a chance to save Mono, but didn't. Why? From the first time we see Six in the game, she's cramped tight around the music box. It's important to her, and it's why when she's all alone in her own nightmare in the signal tower, that it too is also there. When Mono calls out to her, she presents the music box to him as if sharing it with him. Like a child wanting to show a parent a toy they like.
But he's just
And
like,
what does
"Fuck that
Mono do
shit."
instead? He destroys it. To Mono, this makes sense. He's doing it to save her from the nightmare that she finds herself trapped within. But to Six, this enrages her. And from here on out, she only wants to protect her music box from Mono, even to the point of killing him. The one person that's been helping her so far. When Mono finally destroys the music box and brings Six back to her normal self, she isn't the same anymore. She gets up slowly and stares down Mono. Even though he did this for her own good, she didn't want him to. If we take a look back during the previous events I've mentioned earlier, 6 actually isn't a good child. She wasn't playing with the mannequin fingers. She's breaking them, contorting them. And after the bullies in the school kidnapped her, the first thing she does when confronted with one is pounce on it, smashing its head against the floor till it breaks. This
They
type
fucking
of an
deserved it,
attack
dude.
is
They
fueled by
deserved it.
emotion, anger, and frustration in this frenzied attack is obvious.
Look how
and she
ominous this is.
slowly stands up, admiring her handiwork, showing that she can hold grudges and likes to take revenge. The doctor, for instance, when he's burned alive, she shows no remorse for her actions.
Nope, she's savage.
Even though 6 comes across to many as childish, that mask actually hides a rather sadistic and selfish side to her. Just like what we see of her in the mall, eating a helpless trapped rat and a gnome to fill her own need, her own hunger. She transforms children into gnomes to help her run the mall, not hesitating about taking their future away from them. When 6 reaches out to help Mono, this isn't because she does it to save him. She wants to hold him. She wants to see his face. She wants him to know that she is the reason why. Mono was the one who let her get taken by the Thin Man. She reached out for help, but Mono
See, this is a
didn't help
different
her.
theory,
The
that
one
she wasn't
who
trying to absorb his
destroyed
powers.
something
She was
loved
looking at him,
right in
basically
front of
just
her.
like,
Mono
yeah,
was the
I'm
one
going
who
to drop your
destroyed the
ass.
music box and her
I like
safe
that.
space. He was the one that
It
took
makes a lot more
everything
sense, to
from
be
her.
honest.
No.
All of this happens right here. In the look exchanged between them, when
Yes, it's
Mono
fine,
looks
Mom.
back up to look at her as if asking what's taking her so long, he
I'm not in a
realizes
peachy
there is
mood.
no remorse for what she's about to do. And
What?
with that, she retracts
whatever.
her arm and watches as Mono falls into the abyss. She has no idea what she's starting, but she's happy about it. She's gotten her revenge.
Bro,
Doomed
some fucking
to
Rachel level
forever
shit,
become
man.
the Thin
I swear to
Man,
God.
over
Watch
and
it, walks
over
away.
again.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
best
6
way
is
to
not a
sum
good
up
person.
6 is probably this quote
Fucking
concerning
Rachel
the
level shit, bro,
ladies'
just
quarters
pushes him off,
from a now defunct
lets him
official
go.
little website.
Look at
If
this.
the Moor had a heart, it would have lived here.
What does that mean?
So that leaves one question. If this is a cycle, that would mean there would have to have been a start. The first ever 6 and the first ever Mono. There would also have to be a way to control everything, to make
Yes.
sure that these events play out exactly the way they need to ensure that the cycle repeats. In the school, we see a chart of what appears to be the world, and scribbled all over it is the marking of the eye. I believe that it's this monster that takes control of 6's soul, manipulating it into a way in order to play out the events it needs to repeat the cycle. It's the one that leads Mono to destroy his past self, the Thin Man, by leading Mono from the train. It tells 6 to go to the mall and watches as she slowly consumes more and more to fill in the void that soul has left, until at the right time she gets her soul back, consuming the completed soul of her past self, the lady. And this is precisely why the lady doesn't put up a fight. She knows exactly what's gonna happen and has accepted her fate, to be eaten by herself. The soul that has been passed from one lady to the next. This could be why we see many pictures in the ladies' quarters or residence that show multiple ladies.
Okay, so look at this. There's 5 shadow ones, and then there's the lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I think he's right. These are all the ladies, and 6 is not a lady yet. So that's why there's not 6 of them. So
Mm-hmm.
she is the 6th one.
Yeah. That makes sense. Also, it makes sense that Thin Man, I like Tall Man better, but the Thin Man, right? Like how he was trying to make sure you were just leaving, like push you away, right? When we were like, oh, if he really wanted to, he could have jumped on the fucking train with me and taken my ass, but he didn't. He let you go.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I definitely believe that 6. No, I don't think she's the mother of 6. I think she really is 6.
Yeah, it would make sense. But there's still like the whole like obviously I want to know
These
what
are all
6 does
previous
after.
sixes, and it isn't
And
until
then
these events
I wanna know what
come to
happened,
pass
though,
that 6
before.
realizes what she has done, and by that time, it's too late. Whatever higher power is controlling this world needs
I want
the
to
signal
know
tower
where that higher
to have a
power
thin
came
man
from.
and needs the mole to have a lady. Without its interference, the lady would eventually pass, and thus the nightmare and the cycle would be over. The saddest part about this is, if the Thin Man once released by Mono had not pursued Mono and 6 and tried to break away 6 from Mono, none of this would have happened. The moment the Thin Man grabs 6, it starts a series of events that will eventually lead her to dropping Mono. As we've seen throughout the entire game, slowly but surely, Mono and 6 have actually formed a relationship, a friendship of sorts. Right up to the moment when Mono releases the Thin Man. This tiny little interaction speaks volumes. Even though 6 is sadistic and selfish, she's grown to care for Mono. But unfortunately, because the Thin Man takes away 6, Mono has to destroy something she loves, which in turn leads to 6 hating him and doing the thing she does. He begins 6's cycle to become the lady and to be eaten by herself. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I would say that doing the same thing over and over, reliving the same experience over and over again, knowing that the outcome will always be the same, is the definition of a nightmare. And just like a true nightmare, they are both doomed to repeat the same lives over and over again. That no matter what they do, they will be powerless to stop it. But that's just a theory. A beaver theory. Yeah. Well,
I'm
there you
surprised
have
Matt
it.
Pat has not been like,
what was it, like a day, maybe 2 days?
that's kinda my
After
thing.
I finished doing the playthrough, I couldn't help myself, guys. I just had to sit down and get my thoughts out of there. And apparently, I'm not even the only one. The same day I finished my playthrough and started writing this script, I received loads of comments from you guys who had came up with basically the same thing. That this was a time loop. Mono was destined to become the Thin Man, and 6 the lady. You could look at this as Little Nightmares actually getting better at what they're doing, as in people are knowing now and being able to figure it out, or worse, because now everyone knows what's going on. I think part of the beauty of Little Nightmares, whether this theory is true or not, is getting to think up of your favorite theories.
True.
The Thin Man, in fact, isn't a monster. In fact, nothing in the Little Nightmares universe is black or white. Nothing's necessarily good and nothing evil. It's just the world that these creatures inhabit. Or is it even a world at all? Is it all just a nightmare and this creature, this eye creature, is actually the dreamer that is thinking of it all? And before I go, I do want to say a big thank you to everybody who has supported the Little Nightmares playthrough. I had so much fun playing it, so much fun reading the comments, seeing everybody theorize about what could be the reason behind everything. And I always have fun when it comes to Little Nightmares. And I personally can't wait to see what other Little Nightmare theories you guys come up with. And of course, maybe we'll get the television series. There's actually comic books that I haven't even looked at. And of course, maybe we'll get the television series.
Adapt video
By the
game universe for
Russo,
TV.
by the Russo brothers.
Yeah, that's kind of sick.
Hey, that is sick.
There's actually comic books that I haven't even looked at, so maybe that'll be a second video, or, you know, something that
Yeah, I
we
would
need
like
look
to
at,
see the
'cause
comic books.
There's probably going to be plenty of lore in there. But anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for supporting me and supporting this channel. Allow me
See, I like
to
his theory, too.
what is mainly
So-
a
I like
dinosaur
his
channel
theory a lot
to
more.
play something like this, something that you give me the freedom.
It gives a little
to
bit more
be able to
insight on
play
6's
and
whole
do
playing
what I
why.
really
And I
love
think
enjoy.
I think
And
it's
it helps
correct.
so
I
much knowing that
100%
you're gonna be
think
there
that that was
to
the
support me,
goal of
no
this,
matter what crazy
was
thing I
to
come up with
explain to you
next.
that this
So,
is
my
a
little
paradox. So
cuties,
put
my
2 and
little
2 together.
nightmares.
If he's
I'll
meant to
see
be
you in
something, I
another
think she's
video.
meant to be someone as
Bye-bye.
well. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but my only problem with this is like, okay, so she destroyed. Is that the mask that you were talking about?
What? That's one of them. That one's in
Hey guys, super horror.
It looks like Pikachu.
yeah. Don't click on that. Anyways,
What?
Wow.
What I was gonna say was, the problem with that theory, or not really a problem, but like it's not really explained. Okay, so what does Six do now? Like,
yeah, I know.
Does she make another morgue? So if it's a time
You
paradox,
mean a mall?
a mall, more, whatever. Okay. A mall. So does she make another one? Or does
That's
she
what I'm
just
saying.
inhabit this one?
I think we need to like. That's why I definitely think there needs to be a sequel to see what happens next. But I
'Cause, like,
also want another prequel
and then
to
also with
show.
the ship thing, because it sounds like a ship is coming.
Well, a ship does come. Like a ship comes and brings those people, like those ugly fucking fat fucks.
Yes, I know, but there's a ship that, like, at the end, right before it fades to black, it's like a ship. So it's like she's about to go on another ship.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's with that?
I don't know. I think we
If
definitely
she
need.
really is the lady that she has to be. She's.
I
gonna
hope
have
they
to be
don't just
stuck
stop the
at the wall.
games and then go straight into a TV series and forget about it. But because I want more games, so I really hope I would like to get definitely a sequel to
Little
that.
Nightmares 3.
Yeah, but then I think I'd
But
also
actually a
like.
sequel,
I think
sequel.
yeah, an actual sequel. But I think like if they made a last one, I'd want one last prequel to just show the very fucking beginning to explain the eye monster, to explain the tower, where it came from, where this higher power dark entity came from, or fuck it, if the entire story is just someone's fucking dream.
Well, he did also say, like, what if the nightmare, like, what if the eye is actually the dreamer of the nightmare?
Yeah. Yep. So I just think it needs to be an explanation of how this entire world was created, whether it's a dream or
Because
not.
I do think it's interesting that it's called Little Nightmares.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. But like I think they really want you to take that and just throw it into your own perspective, which multiple people
Like,
have.
Little Nightmares, like, what does that exactly mean? Are they
Saying that
talking
the
about Little Nightmares
kids are
because
little
the boy-
nightmares.
The boy and the girl are destined to become nightmares. Like,
Yeah.
he's destined to become an.
Well, I
a
think that makes the
Thin Man,
most sense
he-
as far as
she's become-
symbolic
supposed to
terms
become
goes.
the lady.
Yeah, I think that makes the most
And, like,
sense.
look at this on there. This is by a completely different person, but look, it seems like he has the same theory.
Oh yeah, most people do.
Bro, Mike
Most people
here,
do.
and in today's video,
Most
He has
people
the
do.
freaking them by side each other.
I've seen that thumbnail a lot of places. I think most people definitely think it. And I really think that is true. I think that just makes sense. That they're just both destined to become someone for 100% sure. But I think I need to know how it was all done. I want to see the world when it was full of laughter and love of beautiful human beings to the point where it went all upside down. Because there had to be, unless it is just all a dream. But even if it is all a dream, all right, there had to be a beginning to the dream. So there's no way it just starts like that. You know, there's no way. Well,
it starts with
always something
with
has
the
a
myth.
purpose. So yeah, but like before that, because those people were still fucking ugly, I want to see them when they were normal. It's weird.
I don't know. It's
But I'm sure if they make a TV series, it will explain a lot.
yeah, if they actually do that.
Yeah. Which that'd be cool, but like I don't want them to just be done with
Also,
the
having the
games.
Russo brothers doing it is
Yeah.
also very.
I don't want them
interesting
to be done with the games though. Also, how would the TV series be? Like live action or like animated?
to me. Yeah.
I would like
Probably
it to
live
be
action. What I'm thinking,
I would
right?
like
and then
it
if they
to be
do
animated.
live action,
I wouldn't want it to be
how
live
would they
action.
do?
That's a lot of work to make that live action because there's just a lot of shit in there that is just not like possible. Obviously, it's gonna be it would be a shit ton of CGI. Oh my god, it would be a shit ton of CGI.
Freaking Jade is doing it again.
Doing what?
Freaking texting on my freaking Discord
Oh, what a weirdo.
because she sent a group message to you, Will, and Jiron that says, "My balls itch all the time. What the fuck?"
Uh-oh.
I should put back. Yeah, man. I think it might be Jade.
I think she has crabs.
Dude, she would get pissed.
I
Oh
dare
my
you. I
god. that
dare
would be
you.
fucking
I dare you.
hilarious.
Well, anyways, guys, that is our reaction to
Oh, well,
the-
I
some
said
little-
back to it. I said that was probably Jade.
that's our reaction to.
But I didn't put insight that. I was trying to say like.
Josh, I'm
she's
trying to put a closure on this. That is our reaction to the Little Nightmares theories. We did about 3 videos, pretty much 3 separate theories. I think Beaver Theory's theory is the most I'm leaning towards with. I really am thinking that is 100% true.
I definitely agree with the other theory.
It just makes sense. But the other theories, there's also good. I don't know what to call it.
I like the time paradox, like how like the draw lanes and how they go through the draw lanes.
Yeah, I like that too. So the other theories definitely have some interesting opinions or whatever that I can agree with, but some of it's gray. So yeah, that's our reaction. I hope you enjoyed. All right, let us know in the comments what you think. All right, because it's just really a big fat mystery. Technically, they're all theories until it is proven correct by the developers, which probably never will be. So let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe. We're out. Peace.
Bye.